Very simple, isn't it? There's Johnson, number 86, and Holohan comes underneath and picks up the first down. Big part of the Rams' control passing offense is Pete Holohan.
He did a good job of keeping Charles Haley out of there as well. Everett throws that pass away. Ellard was shadowed by Keena Turner and did a good job. And Everett did the smart thing.
Well, he's really come into his own this year. He had an outstanding year last year, threw for almost 4,000 yards. And what I like about the fact is that he's running the old offense, the Don Coryell, Ernie Zampese offense that I did. And the Chargers did away with it. They changed their entire system. It's good to see a system that's been so successful in the past also have a new success with a whole new crew of players.
Used to be just a running game, and that's all. Second down and 10. Penalty marker down. Everett completes the pass to Ellard on the other side. Don Griffin knocks him out of bounds. Gain of 15. Now the clock is running. Close to 14 minutes to go, and the flag will be thrown against L.A.
Well, the problem here is that Flipper Anderson was the flanker out to the bottom side of the screen, and he was not back in the backfield as he should be. So that what that did is that made the tight end, Damone Johnson, an ineligible receiver.
Ineligible downfield. Number 86 offense, still second down.
And that's really not Damone's fault. I mean, he's lining up as a tight end. He is an eligible receiver. He's saying, what's wrong? What did I do wrong? Well, Damone, it wasn't your fault. It's your buddy Flipper on the outside. He's got to get off that line of scrimmage.
Innocent victim, Damone Johnson. So instead of the first down, mark it second down and 20 now for the Rams. Back to their 35. 6-3, San Francisco leading, early second quarter. Everett is going deep and wide open. Willie Anderson, touchdown, LA. 65 yards.
The controlled rollout for the Rams by Jim Everett has been a big part of the Rams offense this year. What it allows Everett to do is to get outside and get away from the pressure that's up inside. Watch how the 49ers are all rushing in the middle there. And then Everett sees Willie Anderson get behind the 49ers zone defense. That was a zone defense they beat there. And Flipper comes up with another big play.
First touchdown reception of the year for Willie Anderson. Mike Lansford for the extra point. The kick is good. A 65-yard touchdown strike to Flipper Anderson, and the Rams have their first lead of the game.
When you're a quarterback, one thing you want to do is put a guy in motion and see how it affects the defense here. Now what happens here, Ellard goes in motion and the 49ers don't move. They're just playing their zones, and Willie Anderson is just going to outrace everybody into the end zone. Nice job by Everett getting out of the pocket where he can see and find out where all his receivers are. He's 6'5". He's got a big, strong right arm, and that just is a perfect fly pattern, an easy touchdown.
He left Pollard and Holmo in the dust. The 6th reception of the season for Anderson, and the Rams in front, 10-6.
And you look at his average per catch is coming into the game is 35 yards per catch on 5 catches. And now he's got another one. It's over 50 or 60 yards.
Well, what would John Robinson be complaining about after the big touchdown? Well, a little smile seeps onto his face.
Well, he's always looking for an advantage of any kind, and you're talking to the head referee there. You never know.
That was the longest pass play of the season by the Rams. Jim Everett.
65-yarder. That ought to help that 35-yard average a little bit. You know, we come into the game talking about Montana and Rice and Everett and Ellard, but, you know, Willie Anderson has done a super job for the Rams. He beat out Aaron Cox in the preseason. Cox had a hamstring problem, but the one thing is he hasn't been able to get back in the lineup because of the production of Willie Flipper Anderson. Don't want to confuse people by calling him Flipper one time and Willie the other. It's the same guy, and I think the 49ers know who he is.
So Mike Lansford will be kicking off. Terrence Flagler and Spencer Tillman are back deep. Flagler on the right. Talking to Jim Everett last night. Very close to his offensive line, as the smart quarterbacks would be, and even rooms with one, and Tom Newberry, the outstanding guard.
And you knew that the offensive line, first thing they wanted to know last night is where Everett was going to dinner. They were going to follow him, have him pick up the tab.
Flagler doesn't get to the 30-yard line. Richard Brown wrestles him to the turf.
Jim Everett talking with quarterback coach Norv Turner. And you always like to talk to the coach after you throw a touchdown pass like that. You know, hey, what are we going to do next, coach?
6 out of 9 for 102 yards. And the big touchdown strike. Rams come out in the 34 defense. Alvin Wright is the third down lineman up front. Roger Craig is stuffed. They're still having trouble getting Craig underway, and Alvin Wright was right there.
You wonder if it's Roger Craig or if it's the offensive line or if it's his lead blocker, Tom Rathman. A lot of combinations there. A lot of responsibilities have to be shared. The 49er running game has been dreadful the last 3 games, and it's not off to a very good start today, and that's something the 49ers need to have. They can't rely on Montana and Rice all the time.
Second down and 12. Loss on the play. Montana has Taylor. Leroy Irvin hits him and prevents Taylor from getting first down yardage. He's shy by about 1.5 yards.
Talking with Joe Montana yesterday, and I asked him, I said, Joe, you look like you're having about as much fun as a quarterback can possibly have. In fact, you look like you're playing carefree football. And he said, well, you know, it's really fun, although you hate to admit it, that when you have to throw it every down, it's a great pleasure for a quarterback to be put in that situation. Well, he may be in that situation all day today.
3rd and 1, 4 wideouts. Pressure on Montana. And it was Kevin Green who forced Montana to get rid of it in a hurry. And right now, for an NFL Today report, let's check in with Brent Musburger in New York. Brent?
Well, Dick, slowly but surely now, the Giants are seizing control in the first half against the Cowboys. This is their first touchdown of the game. It broke a 3-3 tie about 13 minutes until the half. Let's go back to Dick.
All right, Brent. Meanwhile, here at Candlestick Park, by the Bay, the Rams lead the 49ers 10-6. It is 4th down, and Barry Helton will be punting. Back deep is Darrell Henley. And a great kick by Helton. Henley back to 6. And brings it out to the 27-yard line. A 23-yard return by the rookie Darrell Henley from UCLA. Wesley Walls brought him down. The 49ers scored field goals the first 2 possessions of the game with good ball control. Joe Montana has been meticulous with his passing game, no rushing game, and Everett has lit up the scoreboard with a big 65-yard touchdown strike, and the Rams lead 10-6 with a lot of time remaining in the second quarter of the game. But the Niners really have no running game, as that's been the story of the year.
Well, you got to wonder how that Ram defense, with all their changes, with the linebackers getting up in there and then pulling out, how that's affecting the coordination of that new offensive line for the 49ers. Looks to me like they're not creating any lanes at all for Craigs or Rathman to get through.
Everett has a first down on his 27-yard line. Bell stopped in his tracks for no gain. Larry Roberts on the play.
We talked about the 49ers running game not getting much. Well, the Rams haven't done a whole lot on the ground either. This has been, as advertised, a quarterback's game so far.
Second down and 11. Look at that huge offensive line of the Rams, one of the best in the league. Everett's pass is caught. Henry Ellard hit by Griffin. And as you pointed out in the NFL today, Dan, Ellert's numbers rival that of those of Jerry Rice's, and that was good for 15 yards and a first down.
Here he is isolated against Griffin on the top of the screen here, and this is a corner route off the play action. And good job of, you see how quick he turned out of the break? Henry Ellert is probably the quickest receiver in the league at getting around and looking for the ball. He can stop on a dime, he can adjust to the high pass and make the grab.
Ellert first down for Everett on the 43-yard line. Bell picks up about 4. Larry Roberts and Michael Carter.
One thing the Rams like to do is to get each and every one of those big bodies in that offensive line on one of the 49ers and stretch them to the sidelines. In fact, that play they just ran there, they call it the stretch play, where they allow the tailback to get in behind them and look for cutback lanes. The Rams offensive line will maul you all day long and create some seams for the running back to get through.
Second down and 6 now for the Rams on their own 46. Bell to midfield, 3 yards shy of a first down.
Well, this is what we talked about, how the Rams offensive line will try to get bodies on everybody. Here's Slater, here's Duval, or actually Tony Slayton, and they're going to come out and just get in the way of these defensive linemen here. And watch how Bell just looks for a crease in there and cuts back and picks up about 3 or 4 yards.
Third down and 3 at midfield. Georgia Frontiere, the owner of the LA Rams. They go to the ground attack, and it won't get him anywhere as Bell is stopped for no gain.
That's very uncharacteristic of the Rams in a 3rd and 3 to run the ball. You would think that that they might throw the ball to Holohan or a short pass to one of the backs out of the backfield. Trying to cross the 49ers defense up, that's something you have to do when you're playing against your rivals and you're seeing them twice a year.
Dale Hatcher will kick, and John Taylor goes back for the 49ers. Low line drive and a fair catch called by Taylor at the 20. So that kick went 30 yards by Hatcher.
Great job by Taylor to come up and make that grab, because if he doesn't, that ball might be down inside the 10.
A sellout and the home opener for the world champion 49ers. They trail the Rams, however, 10-6 with 8:32 remaining in the second quarter. This is Dick Stockton along with Dan Fouts. Two teams undefeated at 3-0 in the NFC West. 49ers with 2 tight ends start from their 20. Roger Craig again is snuffed down, and a loss of 1 on the play. Mel Owens, the linebacker, makes the tackle.
One thing an offensive line has to do is knock people to the ground to create lanes for the running backs to get through. You notice this picture here, you're not going to see a whole lot of Rams down on the ground here. In fact, the only guy that's going to end up on the ground is Roger Craig, and that's something that the 49ers have had trouble with. When you knock people down, you eliminate pursuit. When Craig is a cutback runner, and the pursuit has been catching up to him.
No gain on the play. Craig has gained 1 yard on 4 carries so far. On second down, Flagler with a tough catch, hit immediately at the 23 by Leroy Irvin. And that will bring up third down. So Leroy Irvin back in the good graces and back in his starting role at cornerback for the Rams. And most of the 49ers didn't feel that that was going to be a place they would go because of Irvin's experience.
Well, because of Irvin's experience, but also because of the way the Rams will play defense. They are primarily a zone defense. They're not going to expose Leroy Irvin to single coverage that often today. The
tight end, Brent Jones. Short of the first down. Leroy Irvin again with help from Kevin Green. Penalty marker is down, and the penalty will be against San Francisco.
Yeah, this is going to be holding against the right tackle. I got to believe Steve Wallace against Kevin Green. Green coming on the pass rush forced Montana up into the pocket, and Wallace had to reach out and grab him.
Talking things over with Jerry Gray, the defensive captain of the Rams.
Holding, number 74 offense. Penalty decline, 4th down.
Well, let's take a look at it. Here's Kevin Green, number 91, and Wallace has to come up out of his stance, and Green just has outstanding speed. This isn't the hold yet. It's when Green gets by him. There's the hold with the right hand, and that's a good call.
Penalty is declined.
But Green got his measure of Montana, and every time a quarterback gets hit, whether he has the ball or not, it takes a toll, especially when you're 33 years old.
Barry Helton will kick Henley, who returned the last one, over 25 yards. Bobbles it. And is chased out of bounds by Wesley Wall. 12-yard return that time, and Helton has averaged well over 50 yards a punt. Alcatraz in the midst. The 6:33 remaining in the first half. 2 Mike Coper field goals for the 49ers. The difference has been a big touchdown pass to Willie Anderson. They start from the 34. Everett has the pass batted down, incomplete. Michael Carter got a hand on it.
The Rams wanted to work out yesterday here in Candlestick Park, but their plane was delayed in LA because of a problem at the San Francisco airport. They were on the ground for 2 hours. And being smart football coaches like they are, John Robinson took his football team, his offensive football team, out on the tarmac right under the wing of the plane, and they ran through their the same type of practice they would have had here in Candlestick Park.
I wonder if they use chalk on the turf. Great bell. And no gain. Pierce hold on the stop.
Well, what they did use, instead of a football, Jim Everett was carrying around a little rubber ball that he uses to squeeze to strengthen his grip, and that was the ball. It was like a little tennis ball. They were throwing that out on the tarmac at LAX, and you know the real benefit that they got was they got to practice with tremendous crowd noise. With 747s and everything. It's a lot quieter here today than it was yesterday for the Rams.
3rd down and 10 at the 34. 3 wide receivers, and the pass intended for Ellard, and Ellard makes the catch. Another fine catch by Ellard, and that's awfully close to 1st down yardage. Don Griffin on the stop, and we're going to have a measurement. Somehow, some way, Henry Ellard, only 5'11", finds the creases, and he did there.
What he has working with Everett is just a blind faith. They both believe in each other. They both know what to expect from each other. The quarterback is looking at a receiver running away from him down the field against one defensive back, 2 defensive backs. The quarterback has to count on his receiver to get to the right spot. It looks like Ellard got just enough that time.
3 catches for over 30 yards for Ellard today.
And the 49ers are going to try to double cover Henry Ellard right in here. He's going to go down just to the needed yardage for the 1st down, and watch how he splits the defenders here, the double coverage. Right to the opening, and a wonderful catch on a low pass.
1st down on the Ram 44. Going up top. Just beyond Willie Anderson. And Jim Everett is saying he had his man, Griffin, beaten.
We've seen the Rams complete a couple of these out patterns so far. This is Willie Anderson, and he's going to run the old out and up. Here's the one move, and now he breaks into the clear against Don Griffin, and Jim Everett just overthrows him. You have to complete those types of passes. That's a big play. That's a shot in the game that will create all types of momentum for an offensive football team.
Cleveland Gary, the rookie from Miami, in the backfield on 2nd and 10. And Gary gets wrapped up. Michael Carter.
This is news here. You don't often see the Rams using their 2nd string tailback. John Robinson even admitted to us yesterday that he's not a real good one for getting 2nd string guys in the game. Cleveland Gary, their #1 pick, he's going to be very important for this football team as the season wears on. Greg Bell is only 5'11" and about 210 pounds. What Gary gives him is a guy that goes about 230 that can take the pounding that Greg Bell has taken. It'll be a great asset, a great compliment to Bell later in the season.
Bell is back on 3rd and 10. Everett drills it, and it's dropped. Ellard was there, covered by Eric Wright, but he couldn't hold on.
One of the real tests for a quarterback coming out of college is how well do you throw the deep out. This has never been a problem for Jim Everett. This ball is perfect. It hits Henry Ellard between the 8 and the 0, and he drops the ball.
John Taylor goes back. Dale Hatcher to kick. Good high kick. Taylor wants to return this one. And is stopped at the 12-yard line. 48-yard kick. Jim Everett with the big touchdown strike to Willie Anderson. 65 yards, and that's how the Rams have a 10-6 lead here in the second quarter.
I get the feeling from the Rams, the confidence factor is very high. They know that this man here, Joe Montana, is capable of many great things. But the Rams aren't concerned with the 49ers. What they're concerned about is playing their own game. And so far, they played an excellent first half.
Well, they knew Roger Craig was the guy that the 49ers wanted to get going. So far, they have stopped him cold. Here's Craig, and they still have his number. Fred Strickland and Mel Owens that time.
Last year's game, the first game between these two teams down in Anaheim, Roger Craig had a career best, 190 yards, and a lot of great runs where he broke tackles. He's got to be very, very frustrated right now. He's not used to this type of statistics here.
And the one thing John Robinson said is, you know, the 49ers with all the flashy passing, it's the running game that really makes them go. Not today. So far. 2nd and 7. Montana's pass. And Irvin wrestling out of bounds. And let's see if we have the interception, and we do. Jerry Rice was the intended receiver. And the interception by Leroy Irvin turns it over to the Rams.
Well, let's take a look at this, because Leroy Irvin, he steals this ball out of Jerry Rice's hands. Rice is going to run an out pattern. Look at Irvin settle. Now he's running the pattern. He reaches out. Rice has the ball, but Irvin wrestles it away from him just as he goes out of bounds. What a play. Rice has it. Irvin grabs it away. Both feet are in bounds. Where are they? Now the referees up in the booth are going to take a look. Our replay official today is Dave Kamansky, and this will be an interesting replay to check out.
Anytime you have a situation with such a dramatic turnover prospect here, where the Rams would be inside the 49er 30, this is going to be a critical call. See again whether Irvin stayed in bounds.
Well, this is an interception. Watch how Jerry Rice reacts. That's how you know it's an interception. He had the ball in his hands, and all of a sudden it was ripped out of his hands by Leroy Irvin.
So from our replay, it appears that Leroy Irvin has the legitimate interception. Remember, to turn it over, it has to be conclusive that it was not.
Well, and the call on the field was that it was an interception. It was the Rams' ball, so they've got to reverse it up top in the press box if they don't believe it. Now, whether he's in bounds or not, the old thing of getting pushed out of bounds. Now, if he would have come down without the guy pushing him out of bounds, then it's a good play. I believe this is an interception all the way. Let's take a look again. There's the ball in Rice's hands. Irvin, just being the veteran that he is, reaches in and pulls it away. He's got full possession as he lands out of bounds. The two referees that are on the field made the call.
And it looked like he was flying out of bounds, but as you pointed out, Rice knew he had the pick and pushed him out of bounds. Moving on to 1 minute and 45 seconds for this replay look.
This is a real shame, too, because it kind of steals the momentum away from this ball game. It had been a well-played game, and now this is, you know, Robbie knows how this is affecting his ball club. He says, make the call on the field. I don't think there are many head coaches in the league that like the replay rule because of the way it affects the play on the field.
Well, we're moving on to 2.5 minutes for this look. And now the crowd getting into the act. I think they just want a decision here.
Well, there's a communication down to the officials on the sidelines. We'll get word here real soon. They're through looking at it.
Not soon enough, though. Now they say that the second foot may not have been in bounds.
Well, this will bring a cheer from the 49er crowd. Now they're saying that the other foot was not in bounds, but this is a momentum type of play, an impetus
After
play.
further review of instant replay, it is determined 2 feet were not in bounds. Incomplete pass, going back.
Well, the crowd loves it, and Leroy Irvin comes back on the field.
I'm not sure that his 2 feet weren't in bounds. Let's check out his feet now. Enough with the hands. There's Rice and Irvin. There's his left foot in bounds. His right foot's in bounds. Now they push him out of bounds. The question is who had possession of the ball at that time.
In any event, it's still 49er ball. 3rd down and 7. They have 4 wide receivers from the 15. And Montana's going to run for the first down.
Montana's back in the pockets. This Bill Hawkins, number 70, gets good pressure on him. But now, again, the Rams do not have anybody in the short zones, and Joe Montana can still run pretty good for 33 years old. He's been their second leading rusher so far this season, leading rusher today.
24 yards today. Without Craig, somebody's got to do it.
Well, if they let him punt, he'd be a triple threat.
First down. Montana, Flagler, wide open. And it'll be 49er ball as Flagler loses it out of bounds. But a fine run following the catch, a 30-yard pickup. Mel Owens on the stop.
I think that reversal really gave the 49ers life, and of course Montana picking up the first down on the next play. But this is just Flagler out in the flat. And watch how the Rams might have thought he was going to step out of bounds right there, but he cuts back in, and John Taylor, as he's done very many times this year, provides a key block.
Maybe he's got a case for playing more.
But he's got to hang on to the ball, or he doesn't have much of a case at all. Nice job, though, on that one.
49ers in Ram territory at the 47. Pressure on Montana. Here's Flagler again. And this time Jerry Gray trips him up for no gain, maybe a yard. And Jerry Gray on an open field stop on Terrence Flagler. Dan, I think you're right about the effects of that reversal of the call, because instead of Rams possession in 49er territory, San Francisco then converted for the first down. Now they're in LA territory, and they have new life.
Well, it's such a momentum builder and a momentum breaker. The Rams get the interception, or so it looked like, and they're jumping up and down. They're feeling good about themselves. The 49ers are down. The referees come in and change the whole feeling of this game.
Montana has completed 11 of his last 13 attempts. Not that time. Pass is incomplete, intended for Mike Wilson. And that'll bring up 3rd down, but the clock is run down to 2 minutes remaining in the first half. So our 2-minute warning is here, and here at Candlestick Park, we'll take a timeout with the Rams leading the...
Bo knows football. Bo knows basketball, too.
Bo knows tennis?
No.
Ball knows wait.
Bo, you don't know diddly.
Other conditions trail the Rams 10-6 with 2 minutes to go in the first half. Candlestick Park. John Robinson has to be feeling glum